We say, oh, that's what do you want us to do? Read from a script? Yeah, if it works for
So
kids, read from a
for parents,
script.
what would that look like for parents who maybe don't understand or maybe don't realize that direct instruction isn't happening in schools? What should it be looking like versus what might they be seeing right now?
Wow, great question and hard to summarize. What my mission in life, I suppose, is I would like, and I alluded to before, I would like parents to be kind of more savvy education consumers, the way they would be for medicine or other aspects. So yeah, it would be worthwhile a conversation when you go for parent teacher night to ask, what's the curriculum? What's your instructional approach? Do you favor minimally guided instruction, or do how much project-based learning do you do versus how much explicit instruction do you do? And what's the difference? What do you do in this school? Because again, we have this idea that it's all the same, that every fifth grade class is pretty much like every other fifth grade class. And it's just not. Children will have a very different experience, not just from state to state and district to district, even school to school, but across the hall in the same school.
Mhm.
Um, we haven't really touched upon this, but I think it's important. Uh, Teachers are, to a degree that I think would shock most of us, free agents. I think back on the story I told a moment ago, Missy, about where's my curriculum? Well, Mr. Pondiscio, you're the best person to know. That's the standard. The standard is the teacher, kind of figures it out, on their own. And look, there may be some teachers for whom this is a terrific way of working. For most of us who are mere mortals, it's not effective. But you cannot make assumptions. Again, even if you know the curriculum, even if you know the Board of Education has purchased, CKLA or UFLI or different curriculum, it doesn't necessarily mean it's being taught. So parents need to learn how to ask really good, not hostile, but probing questions. What's the curriculum? What's your instructional technique? Do you do minimally guided instruction? Do you give explicit directions? There's I'm not expecting every parent to become an expert in this, but know enough to have a detailed conversation about the instructional approach in your child's classroom.
That is a really great point because it's just so important for parents to understand. And I absolutely take ownership of the fact that I took it for granted. I did not. I was a good student. I loved to learn, so I just kind of assumed that was happening in the next generation. And I worked with my kids at home, so I didn't really think over the top of it at school. I just didn't think there was a need to be concerned. So it was really eye-opening to me. But all of those pieces are just so important for parents to understand. And that's encouraging too, because those are real practical steps, that things that parents can do if they're concerned about what's happening in schools, in the curriculum, what's being taught or not taught, what things are being focused on. And so that helps for sure to give us a direction. Do you have any other takeaways or suggestions, other practical tips that if parents are feeling overwhelmed, going back to the beginning of the conversation where the topics and being taught might be negative, maybe the teachers are unfortunately taking this concept of trying to implement agents of change or create agents of change, and that alone is a heavy and not really what they should be doing, because then they don't have time to be teaching the basics that need to be getting taught anyway. So what can parents do to try to improve that in their school?
No, it's a great question. Be aware, be informed. And I guess I'll put in a plug for teachers.